Hello, class. Social History of the Jewish People, Jewish Studies 304. This is the online video lecture for the week of September 28th to October 2nd. And the topic is different beliefs, denominations, and sects within the Jewish religion. Now, I am sending out notes for this topic, written notes, that I'll post on Blackboard. And you'll receive an email. But also, it's very important that I do a video lecture for this, because the topic, it's a pretty complicated topic. And, I usually do this in a classroom setting where we could discuss and debate. Fortunately, this semester we can't do it. It's all online. But I hope that this video will explain the notes in a much more comprehensive way, a much more understandable way. Okay, so we're dealing with sociology of American Jewry right now, this topic, and we're talking about American Jewry, that among American Jews, there's about 6 million American Jews, there are a lot of different beliefs, and there are kind of different denominations within Judaism and different groups within Judaism. Let's start off like this. There's no pope in Judaism. In Catholicism, there's a pope, and the pope could decide, along with other cardinals and other people, a pope can decide what is proper in the religion, what rituals are to be done, how the rituals are to be done, what is the belief of the religion. And in Judaism, there's no pope. There's no one person that can decide these things. Not only that, but there's no one central council of elders, let's say, that determines for all Jews exactly what is the dogma or ritual practices of the Jewish religion. Because of that, this has caused many different groups to develop within the religion, in a way like a free-for-all. And since there's no real central authority, these groups vary from traditional groups to reform or modern groups. Instead of one central authority, there's different rabbis and there's councils of rabbis, and they make rulings and decisions and interpretations as to how the law should be practiced. But there's many different councils of rabbis. And not only that, there's nothing in the Jewish religion that says that people have to obey or follow these rulings that go out. And a Jewish person, an individual Jewish person, can choose or reject whatever parts of the religion they choose to reject or want to follow out. And they can't be thrown out of the Jewish people, because remember what we talked about before. In Judaism, the definition of a Jew, according to the religion, is someone who's born of a Jewish mother. In some groups, someone who's born of a Jewish father, and or someone who converts the Jewish religion. So, different rabbis come to different conclusions about what is normative Judaism. So, instead of speaking of different denominations, maybe we should speak of trends in Judaism. The main different trends in Judaism in the United States among American Jewry are Orthodox, Conservative, and Reform. There's other groups, smaller groups. There's Reconstructionist, there's Humanistic, there's different sects, SECTS, of Hasidic Jews. These are kind of Jews, mystical Jews. There's even a group of Jews, Messianic Jews, that combine elements of Judaism and Christianity. But let's deal here, first of all, with the main different trends in Judaism: Orthodox, Conservative, and Reform. Orthodox Judaism has the highest level of intensity as far as observance and belief. All Jews were Orthodox. This is traditional Judaism. All Jews were Orthodox until the Emancipation and the Enlightenment, which we studied about, of the 18th and 19th centuries. Who are the Orthodox? The Orthodox are traditional Jews. Well, Out of about 6 million Jews in the United States, about 600,000 or 10% are Orthodox. The Orthodox, if we want to maybe compare with something that most people are more familiar with, they're the fundamentalists. They're the literalists. In other words, the Orthodox belief is that the Bible and other sacred writings, in other words, commentaries on the Bible, are the exact, accurate Word of God. In other words, God revealed the Bible, and or referred to as the Torah. God revealed the Torah, and word for word, this is the Word of God. Okay? Can't be changed, and this Word of God should be taken literally. Okay? Now, try and give you an example of this. Okay? In the Bible, there's a passage. There's a passage, I don't have the exact place right now, but there's a passage that says a law. I think it's in the book of, one of the books, maybe Genesis, Leviticus, let's say. It says, thou shalt not boil a kid, in other words, a baby goat, in its mother's milk. Okay, there's a law. One sentence law. You shouldn't milk a mother goat, get the milk, put the milk in a pot, and then take the mother's baby, slaughter it, cut him up into chunks, let's say, throw him in the pot of boiling milk, and boil it together. Okay, so the Orthodox believe this is the exact Word of God. And not only that, but they want to scrupulously observe it. So they interpret it to mean, over the centuries, they interpret it to mean, not only can't you boil a kid in its mother's milk, but you can't eat milk and meat together. All milk and all meat. You can't eat it together. Not only that, you have to wait, let's say, a few hours in between eating milk or eating meat. In other words, you have a meat meal, let's say you have a steak, right? And before you get any dairy, let's say cottage cheese, you have to wait a few hours before that. Not only that, but you have to have two separate sets of dishes, one for milk and one for meat. So you can see where they have a very strict interpretation of the law. Okay? Other groups, non-Orthodox group, let's say conservative or reform, look at this law in a less strict way. Okay. Now, in Judaism, Orthodox Judaism, even though there really isn't a basic religious dogma that all Orthodox Jews are supposed to believe in, such as in Christianity, there's a Nicene Creed. The Nicene Creed, this is a belief that all Christians are supposed to believe in. Judaism, we really don't have anything like that, but you have something close to that, which is called the 13 Principles of Faith. And don't worry, by the way, this is all in the notes. I'm just embellishing this, okay? So you have this all in the written notes. Wouldn't be a bad idea, listen to this lecture closely and take some notes on this too. Anyhow, the 13 Principles of Faith were put together by a Jewish scholar and theologian named Moses Maimonides. He was born in 1135 in Cordova, Spain. Remember, we spoke about the great Jewish civilization in Spain. So he was born in Cordova, Spain, 1135. And he died in Cairo, Egypt in 1204. Maimonides tried to summarize the basic faith which is central to traditional Orthodox Judaism. And these basic beliefs, such as, I won't go into all of them now because you have them in the notes I sent you. God created everything in the universe. It is only right to pray to God and no one else. The Bible is true word for word. The Bible will never be changed. Moses was the greatest prophet. God knows everything. And God rewards the good, punishes the bad. At some point, God will send the Messiah, and there will be a resurrection of the dead. Okay, but if someone, even an Orthodox Jew, doesn't believe in all of this, if he practices Judaism, he's still considered, or any Jew is still considered Jewish. whether they believe in it or not. But this is the closest thing to basic Jewish belief. Now, an Orthodox Jew, practicing Orthodox Jew, has a certain way of structuring his or her life. The life of an Orthodox Jew is structured by his or her religion. For example, there are prayers 3 times a day. There is the Sabbath. You have to observe the Sabbath strictly. Absolutely no work. And the Sabbath, which the Jewish Sabbath takes place on Saturdays, you withdraw from the secular world and you enter the world of religion. And the idea of no work, well, most of us would say no work, it means you don't go to work. But the Orthodox take this very, very strictly, and many things are forbidden to do, such as lighting a fire. You can't light a fire on the Sabbath. That comes from the olden days where lighting a fire was a whole big thing about work. You had to gather the wood and, rub the 2 flints together, light the fire, whatever. But the Orthodox take this to mean you can't light any fire. When you turn on the electric switch, you're creating a spark, correct? Okay. The spark is a form of fire. So the Orthodox will not turn on the lights on the Sabbath or use any other electrical equipment where they have to turn it on or turn it off. Orthodox Jews strictly observe the holidays. Orthodox Jews study the Bible constantly. They're always involved in studying the Bible. Sure, they have work, they have other things they do, but they devote a lot of time to studying the Bible. And for the Orthodox, to study the Bible, it's a way of worshiping God. Eating. Orthodox have special dietary laws as to what and what is not permissible to eat. I mentioned before, you don't eat meat and milk together. Laws go beyond that. Meat has to be kosher. In other words, slaughtered in a certain way. Many foods are forbidden. Pork is forbidden. Shrimp, seafood is forbidden. Okay? So many dietary laws. Orthodox Jews have a certain way of dressing. Men have to have their heads covered at all times. For rituals, there's certain clothes that are worn. Prayer shawls, kippot, head covering, and they're supposed to dress modestly. In other words, for men and women, no revealing clothes. Religious services for the Orthodox are conducted exclusively in the Hebrew language. Some Orthodox, but not all, don't allow TV or the internet. But of course, within the Orthodox, there's gradations and variations. There's ultra-Orthodox, and there are more modern Orthodox. More modern Orthodox means they're more of a part of the modern world. They follow the laws and the rituals, but they get advanced secular education, advanced professions. They wear modern clothes. They look modern. They may wear beards, or they may not wear beards, as they wish. Now, what's interesting about the Orthodox Jews, okay, they have all these laws, they have all these rituals. Give an example of a law. You can't travel on the Sabbath. You can't get in your car and travel on the Sabbath because, 1, you're not allowed to travel. That's considered work. And 2, you have to start your car. That's creating a spark, a fire, electricity. So because they can't travel on the Sabbath, and they're supposed to, on the Sabbath, go to the synagogue to pray, what effect does that have? It means Orthodox Jews have to live within walking distance of a synagogue, which means they have to mostly live in urban areas, which means they tend to congregate in the same neighborhoods that are around a synagogue that they can walk to. Think about this in sociological terms. This provides them a close, cohesive community. It provides them with identity and solidarity. It somewhat separates them from the outside culture, and this enables them, and has enabled them, to survive with their own identity as a people for, 2,000 years of the diaspora of living outside the land of Israel. So their lifestyle is different than that of non-Jews, as well as non-Orthodox Jews. And this allows the Orthodox in the United States to maintain their own distinct identity within American society. They're still part of the general American culture, but this prevents them from assimilating and disappearing into American culture. A proof of how this works is that the Orthodox Jews in America are increasing in numbers more than other Jews. Let's say the conservative reform. Orthodox population is increasing all the time. Conservative reform is decreasing. Well, reasons, the Orthodox don't assimilate. Usually their kids remain Orthodox Jews. They also have a higher birth rate than other Jews. You can see Orthodox families are very, very big. It's common in Orthodox families, 8, 9, 10, 11 kids. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Well, they have bigger families because they marry earlier, and in general, they don't practice birth controls, and they don't have abortions. So you can see religious rituals, religious observances have effects, actual real-life effects. So this was a thumbnail sketch of the Orthodox, right? You can read more in the notes, but let's go on to those American Jews that observe their Judaism in a less intense way. Then you have conservative Judaism. Conservative Judaism, officially, agrees with the Orthodox that the Bible is the Word of God. Okay, but they also believe that some things in the Bible were developed later in history, and also there were some mix-ups in transcribing the Bible over the centuries. So yeah, it's the Word of God, but not 100% exactly. Things over the centuries got mixed up, were transcribed the wrong way, were handed down the wrong way, may not be 100% accurate. So the conservative Jews have a more modern interpretation of Jewish law and live a more modern lifestyle than the Orthodox. There's about 1.5 million Jews who identify as conservative in the United States. Then we'll go on to the Reform Jews. Reform Judaism believes that the Bible was divinely inspired, but was not the absolute accurate Word of God. It was divinely inspired. God inspired it, but it was written down by people with their own backgrounds and their own interpretations. And the Reform more or less believe, well, it's up to the individual Jew to decide how to interpret and observe Jewish law. Reform also believe that much of traditional law and practices are outdated and no longer necessary. For example, the issue of not eating pork, right? Reform could say, well, yeah, if you don't want to eat pork, you don't have to eat pork. But if you want to eat it, well, you could eat it, because these laws about not eating pork come from thousands of years ago, and really in modern times, they don't apply to modern times for various reasons. So you have Orthodox, Conservative, Reform. Thing to remember here: intensity of observance and belief, intensity of influencing lifestyle. Orthodox high intensity, Conservative in the middle, Reform at a lower level, at a low level. Now there's other very interesting smaller groups in Judaism, smaller trends in Judaism in the U.S., and I'll just briefly discuss them. We have Hasidic Jews. Hasidic Jews. What you may know about Hasidic Jews is sometimes you may have observed Jewish people, maybe you've seen it on TV or in movies or whatever. They dress very, very different from the rest of the people in this country. Long black coats, big black hats. Men have beards. They have side locks that grow down over their ears. And they have big families. And they have rabbis Yeah, the Orthodox Jews, okay? If you've been to, I'm sorry, the Hasidic Jews, if you've ever been to the Pennsylvania Dutch country and look at the Pennsylvania Dutch, the Amish, which are a Christian group that came over from Germany a few hundred years ago, uh, it's funny, they kind of look the same, okay? Very, very modest lifestyle, very, very modest dress, and very, very strict observance of the law. But these Hasidic Jews, what differentiates them from the Orthodox is the Hasidic Jews, they live in groups, and they have a head rabbi, usually have a head rabbi who is the interpreter of the law for them. It's very, very important in their life, and sort of like a mystical type group. They believe in a lot of mystical writings and things like that, miracles, writings, special sacred writings that are mystical. Actually, there's an American pop personality, Madonna. For a while, she was involved with this. She wasn't Jewish, but she was involved with these Hasidic groups, these mystical groups. She studied a sacred book called the Kabbalah, which has Jewish mysticism. Okay, but this would be for another course, really, on Judaism. You have humanistic Jews. Humanistic, right? They believe you could have Judaism without God. You could have the holidays, you could have some rituals, this and that, but it's possible without belief in God. Another group is the Reconstructionists that say, well, all these laws and rituals weren't handed down by God. If there is a God, that's up to you to believe, yes or no. But the Reconstructionists believe that rituals are important to observe because it gives the group cohesion. Finally, we come to Messianic Jews. And these are Jewish Christians. No one knows how many there are in the United States. Estimates may be 100,000, 50,000. No one's quite sure about that. These are Jewish Christians. What do I mean by Jewish Christians? These are Jews that observe Jewish law, consider themselves Jewish, but they also believe that Jesus was the Messiah. Okay? So they have a unique belief about this. Now, I will conclude this lecture right now. I really hope this lecture has been helpful to illuminate the notes that I sent out. But I encourage you, any questions or anything like that, you know what? Send me questions, email me questions. Email me what you'd like me to speak about more, what you'd like me to address more. And then I will address those issues for the whole class in another video. I can answer those questions and go into more detail. So I would suggest you listen and watch this video first this week, and then you go look at the notes. Okay? Because I think the video will be a good introduction to make the notes more understandable. Okay, so until I'm going to send this out today, send the notes out today, and until next week, have a good week. Stay well, stay healthy, and I wish a happy holiday to those people of the Jewish faith who are celebrating tomorrow, starting tonight, the Day of Atonement, or Yom Kippur. Have a good holiday and a good New Year.